Hey, my name's Izzy. This is Rolling Virtual Cards coming at you with another Commander ratings video. This time, the third most popular Commander out there, Edgar Markov. Let's go into what he does. Three a red, a white, and a black for a 4/4 legendary creature Vampire Knight with Imminence. So, Imminence means this effect happens even if it's not on the field. So, whenever you cast another vampire spell, if Edgar Markov is in the command zone or on the battlefield, you create a 1/1 black vampire creature token. Okay? It has first strike and haste, and whenever it attacks, you put a 1/1 counter on each vampire you control. That's my cat. Sorry for the loud noise. Cat tax. Down you go. So, is Edgar Markov good? Well, it's the third most popular commander, so you tell me. Let's get into this, okay? Let's get into the overall ratings here. First off, we're going to talk about categories. Again, self-explanatory: commander cost, color identity, protection, interaction, mana advantage, card advantage, combo engine, and will it TTRPG. That's the categories. Let's see where he ranks. First, commander cost. Where does he rank here? 0. He gets a 0. With an asterisk. He gets a 0 with an asterisk. So, commander cost. He costs 6, which gives him 1 point. But he's 3 or more different color pips, so that minuses 1. Meaning he gets 0 points for commander cost. But what is that asterisk sitting there? Just like the previous commander, but more so. He has Imminence. You don't need to cast him. He can just sit there and do his job. I've seen plenty of Edgar Markov's players just never cast him to win the game. You just play cheap vampires that come with the buddy. If you can get him out, cool. He might be a win con, because if you have like 50 little vampires and you swing because he has haste, then they all of a sudden become like, instead of 51 ones, they're like 52 twos, and then yeah. He's just a win con. So that commander cost has an asterisk, and that asterisk is emissary means it doesn't matter, guys. Like, this commander cost, throw it out the window. Like, yeah, okay. So it's 0, but it's not. Color identity, he gets a 3. Simplest. I always say this is the simplest ranking, but it's needed. You need to remind yourself that the more colors your deck has, the better the deck is. Always will be. Unless you have a budget, in which case stop playing 5-color decks. 10. Next, protection. 0. He doesn't have protection. You can't cheat his commander attacks. Okay, again, technically speaking, this is a 0 with an asterisk. He always has his effect active. Again, the reasoning why it's a 0 with an asterisk. You don't need to check you don't need to cheat commander attacks, and you don't care if he dies, because yeah, you still have his effect going on. It was a terrible choice of design, and I hope we never get back, because even if it's a bad effect, it's still an effect where the protection isn't 5, it's infinite, because you can't touch the command zone. 0 with an asterisk, okay? Edgar, you're on my naughty list. Just like the Ur-Dragon, but more so because your Imminence effect is better. Interaction, there's none. He's got no interaction, okay? And there's no asterisks here this time. We're not talking about an asterisk here. There's no field control with them. There's no field removal, no hand control, no graveyard control, not even a mill. You look at him and you go, whoa. He doesn't do that. Okay, we're good. We found a flaw, guys. He doesn't interact with stuff. Okay. Mana advantage. Got you guys again. 0, no asterisks. Doesn't produce lands. Doesn't give you treasures. Not cheating mana. There's no tap. He cheats his own mana, but that's in protection. We're not giving that to him here. Tap for mana, nope. And there's no other form of mana advantage here. None. So we're good. Card advantage, 0. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't draw you no cards. He doesn't let you play the top card of your library. He's not scrying or surveilling you, and there's no self-mill with him, okay? If you want to give him half a pity point for making tokens, I'll allow that. Some people think token is card advantage, right? I mean, you do produce something that is the form of a card in some technical shape and does give you a presence, but I'm not counting it. I don't want to get into that spectrum of like that's the point. I think that's more of an engine or what your commander's doing. I don't really consider it card advantage. Okay. Combo. Yeah, he gets a 4 here. He has a 2-card combo with himself. As you can see on the field, this is Edgar, Markov, Oathsworn Vampire, and Phyrexian Altar. There's a few other ones that can do that, but this one's pretty simple. So Oathsworn Vampire into the battle tapped, and you may cast it from your graveyard if you gained life this turn. Okay? And then his Eminence makes a vampire. Okay, so the point is, Phyrexian Altar, you can sacrifice Oathsworn and the token to keep casting it. All you have to have done is gain at least 1 life, which is not that hard, especially saying as a lot of vampires have life gain in some way. So you just gain a life, then you can just infinitely cast this from your graveyard. Now that doesn't win you the game. It does infinitely produce ETBs though, and you're in red. So all you need to do is have 1 other card to win the game. So does that give it a 3 or a 4? This isn't winning you the game, but it's not losing you the game, right? You just do this and you make a token and boop, 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 right? So maybe it's 3+, but this is the combo, and the other card you need is just something that's on the field to win the game. So I'll give it the 4 points just because I don't want the Edgar Markov people to come after me. So, yeah, he can have 3 to 4 points depending on how you want to count that combo, because this is technically a combo. It just doesn't achieve anything other than infinite ETBs. So to win the game, you need a 4th card. So that's between 4 or 1 points. You decide. Next, Engine. It gets 5 points, guys. It has 2 1-drop engine cards, guys. Indulgent, and I'll explain what I mean again by engine, because a lot of people have questions on this, okay? An engine is just something you can do to constantly produce card advantage in some way, shape, or form, or something else in that way. Indulgent Aristocrat is a black for a 1/1 vampire noble with lifelink, but you can pay 2 to sacrifice a creature and put a 1/1 counter on each vampire you control. Since your vampires keep making tokens, you can sacrifice those weaker tokens to increase all the other vampires you've been casting by 1. And this just constantly allows you to get your vampires bigger and bigger and bigger by just sacrificing that small guy. And at first you might think, well, that's not the best, but it's not the best if it's just him. But like if you have 4 non-token vampires on the field, every time you sacrifice a vampire, like a 1/1 vampire token, that's 4 more damage. So you could sacrifice 5 of them, and that's 20 extra damage. Figure out where the middle is for keeping them and not keeping them, and all of a sudden you just have this great engine of just buffing them. And welcoming vampire is similar too, because this is just going to go all you card each turn. Because the vampire can come in as 1/1s, this is just going to be like, hey, every single turn you're just going to cast a vampire regardless of how big it is, and you're just going to get a vampire on the field. So those are just simple engines that just chug you along to just give you card advantage or better field presence. And that's why he gets 5 points here. So overall, why is he considered the 3rd best commander or most popular commander? And the reason being, again, I'm gonna point at engine, okay? Number 1, well, there's a few things. Just like dragons, vampires are very popular, so you have that going, okay? Number 2, it's 3 colors. 3 colors isn't bad, okay? Seeing higher than less than 3 colors in like top 10 is not, or in the most popular decks isn't always popular. Sometimes you'll see them, and like I'm not saying you won't, but likelihood is less. But overall, the reason being is because Emissary is gross, and it has good engine. Okay, even if you ignore the combo, if you don't need that, he has a really good engine going for him with a lot of other cards. These are just 2 of them, okay? And that engine's gonna really make him more viable, more popular, more used overall. And on top of that, like, again, if you take the fact that commander cost and protection are essentially 5s in his case, that does mean he hits 5 in 3 locations, being commander cost, protection, and engine. A 4 with combo, or 1 if you want to be picky, and a 3 with color identity. So he hits a lot of those marks, okay? And he's aggressive. And some people just want to play an aggressive deck, and that's what this guy does. He just gives you... Again, I guess he kind of gives you some type of field advantage. So... if you want to toss him 1, maybe I'll update some of the criteria and just state that, like, card advantage, the self-mill could probably be / token. And give him that 1 point of, like, yeah, it's technically a card. It can be used to block and protect your life. So I'll give him 1 point there and update that for next time. So it just... there's a reason why he's just that useful. But now the question is... ooh, no, crap. Pause. Oh, that was a slip. Question is, will it TTRPG? Does Edgar give you what you need? And the answer to that is yes. Yes, yes. Yes, because Strav shows that he can work, okay? Let's go over the details of this Edgar possibility, right? So Edgar is the original vampire from Innistrad, okay? So set the plane on Innistrad way back in the day. You could make Sorin not even exist if you want to, or maybe he is but a lass. Edgar's still alive to this day. Even though he was sleeping, he was awakened. But if you set it back then and you want to use this vampire knight, right? This is great in a lot of senses, okay? So every vampire has a buddy in this game, this campaign. You never find a vampire by itself. You're used to finding them by themselves, but no, they always have someone on them. So whenever you find them, there's always a story to be told, which is like, you don't just see vampires. The vampires are feeding on something. And if they're not feeding on something, turning them into a vampire, you're like this is a hostile takeover. This is like Edgar's like, no, we're taking over, okay? So most of your fights are going to be like vampires plus their thralls, right? The little other vampires. They're not that strong, but they are technically still vampires, right? And so the story is just like, you just take a world. If you want to run Innistrad, that's cool. If you don't, that's fine. Take your campaign, put Edgar in there as like this huge bad guy, this legend beyond legends that everyone is aware of, that this guy is a menace, this guy's a problem, okay? And you want to take care of him, okay? You want to stop him, you want to get rid of him, okay? But how? How do you kill the unkillable? He's surrounded by too many vampires, and in fact, the land where he's from is just... This isn't Dracula, where like... Or even, like, it's not even necessarily Strahd, where like, the townsfolk are miserable. No, the townsfolk are vampires, okay? You're not gonna run into a human here, okay? And if you do, they are like hiding, okay? And like a singular town, and like it's just warded off with all these other things. Now, I guess the downside with vampires, story-wise, is like, the downsides for them is that like, they can't just enter houses, but like, these vampires are cruel. They're attacking, like, at night. But that's what you need to do. A day-night cycle. Very important here, okay? Instead of it being night constantly, it's day and night, okay? Edgar doesn't have a way to make it, like, perpetually nighttime, okay? And not necessarily that he dies to the sun. You could even say that he's so legendary that he doesn't die to sun, right? But his other vampires do, okay? They're not that strong, okay? They will die to the sun, so that to avoid that, okay? And so you don't see anyone leave their house during the day or during the night. They only come out at day, and everything shuts down based off, okay, the sun's setting, everyone shut down, go home, stop. Like, every single shop is also a house, because they need to just be in a safe location, because these vampires will attack you. And that's the story. Okay, the fight, you're going to be constantly fighting vampires, so you're going to have silver weapons. Like, people know this. Give them the silver weapons so that they can defend themselves. So that they can do a lot more damage to these guys. You're heroic. You're here to save the town. And you got to figure out how to find Edgar and kill him, so that he stops producing extra vampires. With no Edgar, vampires will still exist, but there'll be less of them. Okay? So you're going to go after Edgar. You're going to take him down. Okay? You start following the scents, you start following where the vampires are coming from, and you finally find him. And the class, again, he's a knight, so make him a soul, or make him a fighter. That makes perfect sense. A vampire fighter is great. Love the concept. You could even make him like a dark paladin, would be kind of cool. But fighter's completely fine with the knight type, or the knight archetype. And then the fight against him is insane. Okay, this is gonna be your, like, he buffs all the other vampires around you whenever he attacks. So if he attacks you, he encourages the other guys, and they're all going to be getting pluses to attacks, and that's going to stack. You're going to keep track of this on a D20, basically. I would stop it at a specific point, maybe D10 or D8, depending on how difficult you want this fight to be. You could just make it 6, only up to a +6. But any vampire who's still on the field is doing this. And any vampire who shows up is going to have like a buddy with him every single time. And they're going to be coming constantly. So you're not just fighting him, you're fighting a horde of vampires. And that would be an interesting fight, where he's just sitting on his throne, right? Ready to fight. He gets up and he's ready to fight. Like, he's a knight. He's not going to sit on his throne, right? He's going to get up, he's going to fight you. He's going to run up and he's going to deal a forced attack, okay? And then that's when the doors all close and other doors open and just more vampires start flooding in. Once each turn, and you had to take him out and survive the onslaught of vampires, and that would be an interesting battle. That's how I would pull off the TTRPG for him. So, thanks for listening. Stop by next week, same time. Have a fantastic day, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.